Let's talk about results from a regional perspective. What you see on this chart, again, is each region around the world continues to see increase on a broad scale basis, with the exception of Africa. Africa is down year over year, primarily driven by three things. Driven by the concerns about FX risk, the concerns about availability of resources or skills, and last but not least, a sensitivity to the potential for social unrest that has an impact on their businesses in terms of what they do locally and the attractiveness of that particular part of the world today when we're looking at opportunities for investment, when we have so many choices to make. The real interesting thing is when you get into the details country by country. On the chart, what you see here is a tremendous amount of red from last year. The mindset was a decreasing one in terms of their confidence year over year. Jump to this year, you see mostly green. You see mostly green in spite of the geopolitical issues that come out of what happened in Brexit, or what's happening in the US relevant to the recent elections, and the many other elections that are happening around the world, or referendums and the like. The takeaway here, like I said at the first start, as each country has got a different perspective on the table. In summary, as we've traveled around the world and looked at how countries remain relevant, we would argue they should be focused on three things systemically, in addition to many other issues as politicians and elected officials they've got to deal with. But from an economics perspective, getting more certainty in your taxation, your regulation, and reduce the risk of corruption gives that country a higher degree of predictability and therefore a willingness for others to invest in it. That certainty, or more certainty, is what organizations are looking for. The second thing for countries is how do you make sure you're continually investing and thinking about the domestic growth agenda? Taking care of your own people from a business perspective, what's the asset this country brings to the table that could be actually an advantage on a worldwide basis? And last but not least, is your country fit for purpose relevant to the talent you have to actually do what is needed to be done looking ahead in the digital age? When you look at the business community advice we would give you is a fewfold. It is all about focus. It is all about execution and having the right leaders and leadership teams and skill sets to be able to execute in this world that is ever changing, to be able to pivot in a moment's notice, to be able to adapt, scale, or actually descale businesses to be reactive to the world that we are all operating in. And this is where, and you'll see in some of the material that we provide both in the CEO survey and some of the details that our leaders will talk about, how can I be more agile and adapt? How can I actually enhance trust in my organization from all stakeholders involved? How can I get the right skill sets? And how can I, as a leader, exude that confidence to bring that ethos to the organization, to stakeholders, my employees, and everybody I'm interacting with? And likewise, there's roles for PwC to change. This is not a scenario we are immune to these changes that we're seeing in the world. An organization like PwC also has to change in terms of new and different skill sets to remain relevant, the opportunity to convene in the areas of trust and purpose, and for that matter, execution around some of these larger challenges, of which you'll see in the videos that we have here today, and for some of the other thought leadership we put forward, issues like education, immigration, and other things like that, and you'll see various panelists that are actually having participants from PwC do that. So to me, we've got a CEO survey that I think is a great predictor of the past, and perhaps an interesting predictor of the potential for the future. And the question on the table when we come back a year from now is how good were the CEOs in predicting the optimism that they really brought in the ever-changing world, fast-paced world that we are all living with, that has to deal with and implies an impact to CEOs in the business and the role they play in society, to the officials that we're here today, to the public at large, to the NGOs and the conveners as we think about the role and the benefit of being here in Davos to move from talk to action, to think about those that need to be more inspired about the future and the upside that comes from it.